Hello YouTube. Playing with my camera again, testing it out, making sure it's working well. We're going to do another video on vegans. Turns out I did my video and next day CBC came out with a program, a documentary. It was on their program called Ideas. It's called The Matter of Meat, A History of Pros and Cons. So it's got some vegans in it. They make some points. It's a little odd that they didn't understand what goes on a farm, but they seem to be a little bit lost. Anyways, we'll talk about it a bit. So when I'm looking over here I made some notes about what they said. We have a moral obligation not to treat sentient beings as a thing. Sounds like a good statement. If you're going to inflict suffering and death on an animal, you need to have a good reason. Again, I think nobody argues with that. Carol J. Adams made a very odd statement, like she hadn't really understood what happens on a dairy farm. Her statement is, the harm that happens to cows, the heartbreak of having their babies taken away from them so we can have milk. Okay, this is an hour-long documentary, so we're going to start just with this Carol Adams. Now, I grew up on a farm when I was a kid. We had a cow. Sorry, I'm going to be coughing. I've had pneumonia, and I've got to keep coughing every now and then. Anyways, we have had a few cows, lots of calves. I've worked with animals, had a farm for a little bit. I currently work helping farmers do soil sampling and different things that I do. Let's talk about the cow. First off, I was surprised that Carol didn't understand this, but these are artificial environments, correct? And so you get a calf. It's, let's say it's female, and you're going to make it into a cow. It's going to mate with another bull, and now it's going to have a calf. The first calf it has, that's the farmer's biggest concern. You see, you're concerned because the question is, will it be a good mother? These are animals, they're not humans, right? Gotta bring your mindset into this whole concept. What kind of mother will an animal be? And you can't apply human attributes, human mother attributes to an animal. She may walk away after giving birth. She may kill it. There's several things she might do. The first birth is a difficult one. It can be interesting. We have seen it go different ways. So I have found with cattle, I've had sheep, when I was a kid we had cattle, and I've known people with cattle. Cattle, the mothers are up and down. Okay, so that's the first question. Is it going to be a good mother, and does she actually want to have the calf? Because she may not bond with the calf. She may decide she doesn't want this thing doing anything to her. The second point I wrote down here is another sort of interesting point. See, a farmer can go out and milk a cow, and he can cause damage to its udders just milking it. He needs to be very careful with the udders. Sometimes they have to put stuff on there to it's almost like the skin gets chapped, it gets cracks in it, and it gets really sore. And that's a farmer. who's gentle. And we're talking milking by hand. You milk by machine, there's also problems that can happen there. But the calf can be far more damaging. It's can be very aggressive, and it can, when it's a newborn, it's not nearly that aggressive. But in a matter of weeks, it can become very aggressive. Definitely, if you kept that calf in there 3 months, you would have udders that would be bleeding and different problems. Beyond that, well, first off, you don't take the baby away in the first week. The first milk goes to the calf. It's just like a mother's milk. There's extra stuff in the milk, the first milk. That's definitely for the calf. And you will eventually wean it off. What we did in the farm, we would milk after a couple of weeks. You would milk the cow, and you would give some to the calf, and the rest would go to us. And the cow was being milked twice a day. I believe it was about it was a number of gallons we'd get off of the cow daily, and the calf definitely couldn't drink a gallon of milk, and you would have much more than a gallon. I think we had a Jersey that was doing somewhere over 3 for sure, and I don't think a newborn calf, well, if that poor little thing can drink half a gallon, you're doing pretty good. Anyways, there was milk to spare for everyone on the farm. It wasn't just the calf got as much milk as it wanted. We drank the milk. Even we gave milk to the dog and the cats. There was milk everywhere. Now, the heartbreak of having their babies taken away, that statement sort of gets me. The cow has heartbreak, yes. You take that cow, and first off, you're separating the calf from it to protect the calf, right? Because the cow, well, there's several things that can happen, but to protect the calf, you're going to take and separate them. The calf is not well. Okay, the cow is a social animal. It's in a herd, and the cow wants to be with that herd. Problem is that calf can get hurt by the herd. So now you got this cow, she's under a lot of stress trying to protect her calf. And I've never in my life seen a happy cow in the herd trying to protect her calf. So you'd have a choice of either separating the calf or separating the cow and the calf. But even separating the cow and the cow is a social animal and wants to be with the herd. It wants to, but it can't because it's got the calf with it. And that's where you get some of these mothers just decide, no, I don't want this. And again, you're in an artificial environment with a cow. There is a requirement from humans to intervene, or things won't go well. Sorry for the coughing. These are not natural animals. Their young won't survive. So I get an animal, it's given birth, I'm going to check its weight at birth, and then you're going to follow up and check to make sure it's gaining weight at a regular basis. You're going to be checking for all the kinds of diseases. These are things the humans have to do because a cow can't do it. You're going to be checking for diseases, and then you've got to protect this cow from, from the mother, it can accidentally step on them. It can crush them just by leaning on them. There's several ways the calf can get really hurt. So you've got to be kind of watching when they're together. It's not a given that it's going to be that things will go well, and that's because we created an artificial, very artificial environment. So you have to be careful, because in the wild there would be a very high rate of death. They're just not a natural animal for the wild, and you got to be protecting them from predators, especially the calf. So you can't leave it out in the open herd, and even if you put it in its own pasture, you still got to make sure it's not easily accessed to predators. You got to protect it from the elements. You definitely, a newborn calf, I've never heard of anyone just, well, I guess you could if it was summer, but in the winter, you're going to be putting that animal in the barn, or you're going to be doing something to make sure it stays warm, because it's going to have a tough time in the natural elements. And you've got to protect that animal from a herd, because it's not understanding. The newborn doesn't understand what the danger is, and the herd, it's a big animal. A cow over 1,000 pounds, 500 pounds to going upwards, and it's got eyes in front of it. It can't see what's beside it or underneath it, and that calf can get in the wrong place. We've never had a calf get hurt, but we've had cats we had a cat get its legs severed. You can get quite the damage from a cow, and they aren't trying to hurt you. It's just their natural walking around. So you're going to make sure, I'm just reading my notes here, not sure what I meant by that note, but you're going to make sure that calf is growing at the right rate. It's always, a cow always produces a lot more milk than a calf could drink. Oh, and my final point here. See, if that cow is stressed, if you were at all correct that this whole thing with giving birth and the whole thing with milking a cow, that the heartbreak, as you put it, the heartbreak of having the babies taken away from them, if that cow is stressed, when a cow is stressed, it stops producing milk. A really stressed cow is not producing any milk. So no, you're not correct at all. This animal, first off, the animal will not live out in the wild. The animal will not have its baby live if we don't intervene. And the animal is not in this huge stress. You're attributing human attributes, human mother attributes to a cow. And it's not the same thing. And it just doesn't, this doesn't apply just to cows. It's mothers across the board. With domesticated animals, they don't have the same attributes as humans do. And the environment is different. Now, I had sheep, and I can tell you with the sheep, the problem is the mothers are excellent. They take care of their lambs wonderfully, but the first time I saw it, I laughed so hard. I hadn't noticed how the lambs were about their mothers, and the lambs were getting older, and they were about 3-4 months old, and it was pretty funny watching them. The mother would be walking along, minding her own business, and just eating grass, and all of a sudden the lambs would decide, two of her lambs would decide, hey, we're thirsty, we want some milk. and they would, like a baseball player running into home plate, they would do a slide and both come in sliding in. Boom. From either side, and grab onto the mother's tits and hang there. And the mother would kick and try and run away, and no, they were latched on, nothing she could do, and they were going to drink. And it was painful for the mother. I mean, I'm sort of insensitive of me laughing, but painful for the mother, and there's not much I could do, because I'm not going to separate these lambs. That would be a very, very high stress for the lambs and the ewe, but they were definitely causing problems. And in fact, I did have to, at a certain point, I had to slaughter them, kill them, because they were actually causing problems. They would take, sheep butt heads all the time. They go smashing their heads into each other. They'll spend the whole day smashing each other, and they're jostling for position. They're a social animal, just like the cows are, jostling for position. So they'll be smashing their heads all day long to see who is the higher sheep. Anyways, my ram was this big, huge, heavy ram, and he was the sort of king of the sheep. But these lambs were they were jostling him for position, and the problem was, when the lambs would take and butt heads, normally two sheep will butt their heads like that, right? But the lambs were not hitting his head; they were hitting his kneecaps, and it was causing, it was definitely hurting the big ram. They were definitely going to win this one, and the ram's defense was to really, really hit these lambs hard. So you got a little lamb, he's like 35 pounds, and he's being hit by a 200-pound ram. And he's got power. He's got power enough to take me out. So he was holding back. He wasn't trying to kill them, but he did need to send them a message, and they weren't hearing the message. So at a certain point, I slaughtered all the lambs, because, well, there was nothing else. There was no other option. You either slaughter them or you lose the big ram. And I wasn't about to lose the big ram. So, yeah, I don't agree with you saying that the whole thing with the milk, with cow's milk, that you're looking at stressing the animal out because it doesn't have its young with it after a number of weeks. I guess it's about a week, 2 weeks. You would definitely... I'm not sure that what the farmers do exactly right now, but I know the first milk is kept for the calf, and the mother is not in some sort of not the stress, not the kind of distress of like a human losing its baby. You can't attribute that kind of stress to it. And the only way you would know this is by actually working on a farm and seeing how it works without the bias that you have. But I can tell you right now, if you stress out an animal, as in, I don't know, let's say in the herd, some predator comes, kills an animal, kills one of the herd, you are going to have a very, very low milking day. Stress does not work well, and these animals they're totally their comfort and their contentment is important. Anyways, this is working out to be a very long video. It's my response to CBC and their documentary. Thank you. Have a good day. Not saying you can't be vegan, but I'm saying we'll have to think more clearly about what we're talking about. Thanks.